Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis. Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Oh, yeah. It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Wolo. Look up on the wall. There on the wall.
We got a champ. The Boston Celtics' 18th banner, which surpasses the LA Lakers. That's why it was so important to the Celtics. And this team that had plenty of, what do we call that, scarring in your DNA? You have to have scar tissue in order to finally get to the promised land. They had plenty of that. And they get their championship. And, you know, Jason Tatum's only 26 years old. I'm not sure how old Jaylen Brown is, but I don't think he's much older. And so I like their chances for a year or two to put a little run together. The problem, we're going to talk with Joe Dank in our next segment, as we always do in the business of sports. The problem is, was there a great, compelling game in this? You think about it. You have a potential 21 basketball games in your NBA Conference Finals and your championship series, right? Best of 7. If you go to the max, you have 21 total games. They played a total of 14 games, 2/3 of the maximum. And I was sitting here looking at the scores. The first game in Boston wasn't close, 107-89. Second game was more compelling, and that might have been the best one, 105-98. Jaylen Brown was good in that one. Or it could have been Game 3 in Dallas. That was 106-99. So that was a pretty good game, too. Very similar scores. And there was some fight in it, so you were sort of compelled to watch. And then the crazy Game 4, where Boston just gave up in the first quarter, that was 122-84. And then you had last night where, did you ever think Dallas was going to be in the game?
No.
Were you really compelled to watch, other than to see the joy that Boston fans would have after, with this team, as Horford put it so beautifully, 8 years, they knew they had all this potential, and they finally put it together. I mean, that was not a great, compelling game. So there might have been 2 decent games out of the 5 games in the series. This was not dramatic NBA championship stuff. But it is what it is, and the Mavericks are a team. They have some potential. Obviously, when you got a superstar like Luka, who did play his butt off, and he tried to defend. I think he'll get a little bit better in that regard. I do. I think when he puts his mind to it, like in Game 4, when he was, blistered after Game 3, I thought he came out and really played both ends of the court beautifully. He's just overmatched in this. There's just more talent that that the Celtics have. I mean, you take a look at that lineup. You've got Tatum, who was selfless in this series. He was fantastic, and he was not the MVP. Jaylen Brown was, because in those 2 compelling games, I thought it was Jaylen Brown who really stepped up more than anybody else. So I have if I were voting, I would have said, can I go co-MVPs? Can I vote for both to be MVP? If I only had to pick one, I would have gone with Jaylen Brown. But let's face it, if neither one of these guys play, Celtics aren't winning the series. They're not. Then you've got the story of Porzingis, who today we just found out he's going to have surgery. This dude came out knowing he needs surgery and played, 16 minutes last night? 5 points. He tried the best he could. Now, they really went at him, too. They knew he couldn't move. And I don't know what his plus-minus was. I should look that up. But they went and attacked him. But I give this guy all the credit in the world for trying. Then let's not kid ourselves. You got Horford, who 17 years in the league gets his first title. I'm just so excited for him about all of that. And not to mention Drew Holiday, who was every bit as critical. I mean, he kind of plays the way that Jaylen Brown does. They're just relentless, and they're tough, and they come through in the clutch. They make the extra hustle plays, and they finish. Although Jaylen Brown, I don't know how many missed layups he had last night, and Holiday's done that a couple of times. But you take into account Holiday, Porzingis, Horford. You realize everybody's talking about Horford finally gets his title. Horford got 2 NCAA titles in Florida. He knows about winning. And at 38 years of age, I talk about LeBron being the greatest old player. He's got to be up in the conversation because he didn't miss a beat. They picked on him a little bit in a couple of series defensively because he's not quite as good at lateral movement as he used to be. He's 38 years old, for God's sakes. But we're seeing amazing things by old people. Gabriella Rose at 46 had a personal best.
By the way, Porzingis was a +8 last night.
He was a +8? Was he really? Good job. Would you have believed that before you looked it up?
No.
No, I wouldn't have either because they kept going, they're picking on him. You look at those pieces, and here's the thing. The best NBA team I think I've ever seen, well, I love Michael Jordan, so I'm biased by that dynasty of the Bulls, but the best pure passing magical team to watch play basketball. I say this all the time. It was Bill Walton and Lionel Hollins, David Twardzik, Maurice Lucas, Dr. Jack's Portland Trailblazers when they won the title. That team was a beautiful team to watch. I'm not saying this Boston team is quite that way, but they do play the game the right way. They play as a team. They're better team defense than that Portland team was, I think. They really are glue. When they put their mind to it, they can stop you. Hey, look at the scores. And we know that Dallas could score. First game, Dallas, 89 points. Second game, 98. Third game, 99. Didn't even make 100 points. They got 122 in game 4 when they blew them out. And I told you Boston quit in that one. And then in this last game, they scored 88 points. Twice in this series of 5 games, they were held under 90. That's incredible. That's unbelievable team defense. They were fun to watch. Beautiful basketball. They ended up in the playoffs 16-3. And every time they would lose a game, they go, oh, yeah, they do that. They quit in the game. Okay. If they do, they quit in one game. That's it. You realize this year they had 80 total wins if you add up the 16 playoff wins? It's a heck of a year. I know the Bulls in their regular season when they had 72 wins, they had more than 80 total wins. But 80 total wins is phenomenal. And, there is that thing. When we think of the NBA, we do think Boston and L.A., don't we? We might think the Bulls and Michael Jordan in that little era. I think those, and Golden State had their nice little dynasty run here. We think of that. But I think, really, when you think NBA and the two franchises that symbolize the best rivalry, the most competition, the most important games, going back to the very beginning, you think Boston and LA. And now they have 35 banners between them, but Boston is absolutely the best. I loved watching them play the game, and I said they would win in 6. They did one better in that one, and once it was established, it was 2-2, 1-1, and 1. I should have known that. That was big time basketball that we saw last night. They responded after they got blown out. And now we just sit there and we wait for the Grizzlies. I think it's a week from today, the draft. Where will they end up picking? And then you've got summer league play because the NBA does it right. They'll televise. ESPN will, NBA TV will. They'll televise all kinds of summer league games starting in Utah because that's where the Grizz will start, and then they'll go to Vegas, and we'll all watch. Will we be able to watch the Grizz next year on TV? That'll be another topic because this Bally's thing that have declared bankruptcy. This is going to be interesting. I'm a little surprised about one thing here, and maybe it's because the Cardinals are mediocre this year. Do you know how many subscribers there are? The penetration in this television market, Comcast has at least 400,000 households. Okay? 400,000. So all those people that used to watch Cardinal baseball and Braves baseball, but it's the Cardinal market, they all love watching it. Now, I think the true test is what will happen if this Comcast and Diamond Bally Sports feud continues into basketball. That'll be a whole different story. I think it'll either be resolved with Comcast and Bally's or Diamond Sports, okay, or kaput, which is probably more likely now that Diamond Sports will not hold on. Especially if there's no give by Comcast. Now, I don't see why Comcast would do the give. So I don't know what will happen there, but you tell me. No, we don't take calls on this program anymore, really, except for our interviews on the Sissy's Law Cabin line, which we will have with Joe Dank and company coming up. But I have not heard all that much complaint, bickering, sadness, frustration. I haven't heard that much from Cardinal fans saying, we can't get it. Now, maybe they've got the MLB package, which I believe you can still get. Although there are still blackout rules for that, right? I would think. If they're in a market where you would still be, even if you can't get it here, say the Cardinals game is on the MLB network, doesn't that get blacked out here because it's still potentially available in this market on the allotted spots? I think that's right, isn't it?
Yeah.
Am I crazy? But we have not heard a whole lot of, people complaining about no Cardinals, which I'm totally shocked by. I thought we'd get more of that.
Yeah. Then you factor in the Cardinals not playing well or not as good of a team, not as high of a demand.
Yeah. But if there's no way to watch the Grizz in this market, we'll get a lot more of that. We'll see about that. We'll talk with Joe Dank about all of that for sure coming up. Don't forget our final segment of the day. We head to Nashville. Mike Keith, the voice of the Titans, will chat with us. We talked about the new stadium and everything else yesterday and the tour that they were on. We never got to Brian Callahan, their new coach, who was the son of an NFL coach, Bill Callahan. Now you've got Pollard. Tony Pollard is I think, penciled in to be their starting running back. We can talk some of their schedule. It'll be a fun segment. We are now going to do NFL and the Titans with Mike Keith on Tuesdays. Back for a second, the NBA. Jeff Van Gundy, who's considered I saw this, and I don't know if I totally concur, but I do think he knows the game. But Jeff Van Gundy, the description of Van Gundy was written one of the great minds in basketball today. I think Van Gundy does know hoops. I think he was a good coach. I think he was an excellent broadcaster. I didn't realize until I read this news today that he was the last time he was a coach was 16 years ago. That's how long he was an ESPN basketball analyst. 16 years, long time. Crazily fired, I don't know why, by ESPN. Sat out this last year. He is now going to become the lead assistant coach for Tyronn Lue with the LA Clippers. Apparently they got a good relationship, and he went after him. So, because, the first thing you're thinking is, they just extended Lue, so you should know better. But you're thinking, they're bringing in Van Gundy. Is Tyronn Lue going to be looking over his shoulder? They're buddies. He brought him in. And that's the way it's going to work. And Van Gundy misses being on the competitive level every day, I guess. And so he's taken the job. And that'll be an interesting combination in Los Angeles. Stanley Cup playoffs. Final game probably tonight. I think this NHL thing is going the same way as the NBA. The NBA had 3 games, and then the one team down 3-0 killed the other team. Boston got massacred by 40 in Dallas, and Edmonton killed Florida 8-1. 8-1. Should have saved some of those goals. 8-1. They go back to Florida today, and I got a feeling it's going to be very much the same way that the NBA did. The team that's down 3-1 is going to lose 4-1.
It's going to be a party in Miami City.
I think so. I think so. Here's the thing. When you're down 3-0 and you win Game 4, especially when you win it big, it sort of does give you hope. Like, I must confess, I was listening to one of the DraftKings, I guess. It was a commercial, and they were pushing, trying to get you to bet on last night's basketball game. And they set the odds of 2,200 to 1 that Luka would be MVP. This is before last night's game, right? I'm going, but if they win that game after they blew him out, and I mean, they were in total control. He was incredible. If they win that game last night, then they're going back to even up the series. I mean, spend $5, 2,200 to 1. That's an incredible bet. So, you're thinking here, 8-1. Connor McDavid with the Edmonton Oilers, who's just been incredible. Had a goal, 3 assists. And if he goes nuts, I don't know if they have a bet like that, but, it gives you hope because Game 6 is in your ballpark. I think it ends tonight. Just letting you know. But that's the kind of hope you get. That's how Game 5 becomes incredibly important. The team that's ahead 3-1 needs to win in a 2-2, 1-1-1. They need to win a Game 5 to just put it away.
Yeah.
If you go up 3-0. That's, to me, always an incredible element. One last thing before we take a break. 2 quick notes. Tigers hoops already. Come on, give me a break. Baraka Okogie, apparently while at George Mason, hurt his shoulder, comes here, sees that he's injured. He's getting surgery. He's out 4 months. So he's all that pre-camp development stuff that we were talking about, got to have guys here June 1st, which is what you wanted. He's not going to partake in any of that. He should be back in time to compete in the regular season. So that's good. 4 months. But all that getting to know chemistry and everything else for Baraka Okogie, that goes out the window. Last thing, the USA Olympic golf team has been announced. I don't have a problem with this because they're doing it by rankings. And those live guys, they don't have any rankings because they have 54-hole events, and the OWGR, the official World Golf Rankings, do not recognize 54-hole events. You got to play 72-hole events. And so the USA golf team will be Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, Wyndham Clark, Colin Morikawa. I like that team, But there is no Bryson DeChambeau. Some people could be up in arms because there is no Bryson DeChambeau. But he plays in the Live League. They don't get world rankings, so he can't. He got a bunch of rankings. You realize he's finished top 6 in the 3 majors, 6th at the Masters, 2nd at the PGA, 1st at the U.S. Open. I think so. He made $4.3 million, right?
Yep.
I'm guessing second he made 2-something, 2.5, whatever it is, at the PGA, and then at Augusta he was 6th. I'm guessing he's made at least $7 to $8 million just from those 3 majors, right? He's guaranteed. I believe he signed a 4-year deal with Liv that pays about $30 million a year, maybe a little over it. So that's 38 plus whatever else he might have made on Liv this year. I have no idea. The dude's already made that kind of money, but he has no OWGR, so he's not on the Olympic team. We'll talk a little bit about that with Joe Dank. That, by the way, is coming your way in a minute. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios, and the real place to go, though, is not here. The real place to go for Family Leisure is I-40 and Whedon Road. It is where you can now cash in on a summer party sale. That's happening. Here's what you're getting. 24-foot above-ground pools, and in this heat, who doesn't want a pool to jump into after the day has come to an end? It's under $2,000. All ladders, filter systems, or robotic cleaners for that outdoor above-ground pool, 20% off. How about patio furniture to put right next to that pool so you can eat and then jump in the pool? That's 50% off. They are going nuts. You can get play gyms $1,000 off if you get to I-40 and Whedon Road. That's where Family Leisure is, where family and fun and this summertime party all happening right there at I-40 and Whedon Road. We take a break. When we come back, on the road is Joe Dank, but we'll get his thoughts on the business of sports and TV. It comes your way in a minute.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Getaway Sports Bar, the best kept secret in town. Open noon to 1:30 a.m. 7 days a week. Garden creators, SEC NFL Dream Bar over 20 years ago. You'll never miss a minute of action. 10 TVs, 5 70-inch TVs for all the big games. Pick them up on 6 pool tables. Hold a spear and tail. Grab your cool swing and get you some more water. 100 chicken tenders. Daily happy hour Monday through Friday, 10 to 6 p.m. on regular 1625 Getaway Sports Bar, 2632 Winchester.
Think about it. How prepared are you for the unexpected? Emergencies strike without warning, and we all know something big will be thrown at us soon. Being prepared makes all the difference. This means having a reliable food supply stored to use during tougher times. That's why at My Patriot Supply, we sell thousands of our 4-week emergency food kits every week. Each kit is packed with delicious, easy-to-prepare meals that provide over 2,000 calories per day. These kits are designed to stand by for up to 25 years, ready to use when you need them most. This week, save $50 on every 4-week emergency food kit you need. Simply go to mypatriotsupply.com and secure one for each family member. That's $50 off every 4-week emergency food kit. Order by 3 p.m. and your kit's shipped that same day. It's better to have emergency food than to need it and not have it. Shop mypatriotsupply.com. mypatriotsupply.com.
Rick's Powder Coating for a beautiful finish every time. Rick's Powder Coating specializes in automotive, ornamental, residential, and industrial coating. With 2 conveyor lines and the largest batch ovens in the Mid-South, Rick's can accommodate all of your powder coating needs. Locally owned and operated since 2002, Rick's Powder Coating will customize a beautiful finish just for you. Drop by or call to see how Rick's Powder Coating can bring color to your life. 901-367-2771 or rickspowdercoating.com.
Guns, guns, and more guns. Over 700 firearms in stock. Home defense guns, old guns, new guns, used guns, big guns, little guns. Every gun you can think of, Classic Arms has them. All brands like Glock, Sig, Colt, Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Browning, Beretta, Benelli, Remington, Winchester, and free bore siding for the upcoming deer season. Shop online at ClassicArmsOfMemphis.com or visit Classic Arms at 1740 Germantown Parkway behind Quirky's Barbecue in Cordova.
Free is key during Craftsman Days at Lowe's. Right now, get one free Select V20 tool when you buy a Select Battery 2-pack. Plus, get your choice of a V20 drill or impact driver kit for $69. Don't miss your chance to save on the high-quality, high-performance tools you need during Craftsman Days. Because Lowe's knows tools. Lowe's knows home improvement. $1 through $6.19. While supplies last. Selection varies by location.
All 650 acquisition fee, Telluride RG 510849, MSRP 38305, Forte LXS RE 780 169, MSRP 21820. Includes all rebates and incentives. Must finance through Hyundai. Excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 6/30/2024 with approved credit. Dealer stock only. Hey Jeff, I hear you've got the Kia Summer Sticker Sales event going on right now at Gossett Kia South on Mount Moriah. Give me some scoop.
Randy, the scoop is I'm ready to put you in a new Kia for less. 2024 Kia Forte LXS 41 MPG Highway, $199 a month, $34.99 do it signing. How about a 2024 Kia Telluride LX 357 a month, $39.99 do it signing, 24-month lease.
Plus 0% for 48 months on 2024 EV9. And every Gossett Kia comes with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty.
So whether you live in Horn Lake, South Haven, Olive Branch, or Memphis, you'll be happy at Gossett Kia South on Mount Moriah.
Gossett Kia South, 2680 Mount Moriah, or online anytime. KiaMountMoriah.com.
One other quick note before we get to our friend Joe Dank. Couple of guys that knew Memphis really well statewide ended up in Nashville, passed away over the last couple of days. One was a songwriter extraordinaire who wrote an incredible hit. What a contribution to life he made when he wrote Everlasting Love, which, of course, Elvis Presley made incredibly popular. Buzz Kaysen, who was involved with a golf tournament here that Billy Tagg had put on for the Sisters of the Poor Clare. Buzz Kaysen passed away at the age of 85. And Joe Elmore, who worked at Channel 13 when I worked there, was a musician around town, but did PM Magazine and then went to work in Nashville for, I guess, the Nashville Network or some music cable company for years, like 20-something years he did this show. Joe Elmore passed away yesterday at the age of 80. Our condolences, our sympathies, our prayers to the gentlemen's families. And just knowing they really greatly contributed to their communities, to this state, and nationally in the case of Buzz Kaysen. Really incredible lives well lived. In the meantime, let's head out somewhere on the road. Our friend Joe Dank, our former GM at 24 and 30, sports producer extraordinaire, who talks TV and business of sports with us every week, joins us now. Let's talk U.S. Open. You don't have any complaints, by the way, about the Olympic golf team, not including DeChambeau. It's Scheffler, Schauffele, Clark, and Morikawa. No WGR for those guys from the LIV. That's their problem.
It is their problem, but it's golf's problem too, and it's, I think, the fans' problem as well. That has not served the overall interests of golf fans well, the LIV situation, and it probably will continue to be that way until it's resolved, and that does not appear imminent necessarily at this point, does it?
No. Although they said they had some very positive meetings with the Saudi. I guess the Prince was here at the U.S. Open before it began, so they had some discussions with him, and they walked away feeling like there was possibilities that they'd move closer, but there's still some sticky stuff. And what's interesting to me is part of the stickiness is, well, there's two big things. One, the LIV guys want the team stuff to continue. And the PGA is saying, we're not doing the team stuff. Not going to happen. And the other thing is, I believe that they haven't figured out a way to bring back the guys who took all the big money back into the fold without maybe giving back some of the money. And I can't imagine they'd be willing to do that. That's why they left in the first place. They made them an offer they couldn't refuse. And, why should they give it back? Because they'll still end up playing in all the big money guys are still going to play in the majors because they have eligibility. So those are issues. And I don't know how you do the reparation thing, right? That's a hard one.
Well, there is that term, irreconcilable differences.
Yeah.
Somehow, I think that may apply here.
Yeah. I don't know how they get past that, and unless the PGA just goes, all right, we'll take them back, and I'm not sure how all of that goes forward, but they're not there yet. So I tried to look up the television ratings, and last year, by the way, was a good year. They had 10.2 million on average for the U.S. Open. The new numbers have not come out. Through 3 rounds, they had 100,000 in attendance. And apparently, they think the ratings will be better than the 10.2 million they drew last year because DeChambeau, believe it or not, is a big YouTube social media dude. So they think they're going to get a big, younger crowd all because of DeChambeau.
Well, I expect the number to be bigger on 2 fronts. That's one of them. McIlroy being there was another, and actually there's another, and that was it was fantastic. I mean, it was great. It's why we watch live sports. It's why we're sports fans, and why we like to watch people compete. It was great stuff. NBC met the moment. I thought it was all in all, it was a great afternoon, and it was live theater at its best. It had all of the things you want, including just an absolutely crushing defeat for McIlroy.
What do you think that does for McIlroy? This is not necessarily a business question. He's set for life anyway. The guy's worth over $255 million, over 200 million pounds in the British currency. And he's only going to continue to make more, and his legacy is set anyway. But this was there for him to end the 10-year major drought. This was there for him to actually recapture the ability to get back to number 1, even though Scottie Scheffler's way ahead of him. But it was going to be huge. It's the 3rd time now he's been a runner-up, but he had to bogey 3 of the last 5 holes. He had to miss a 2.5-footer and a 4-footer for that to occur, for DeChambeau to win. This one, it's a combination of DeChambeau really living up to the pressure, but it's combination because there's no question McIlroy's, I hate to say this, but folding under the pressure that helped DeChambeau get a second U.S. Open.
Yeah, you said his legacy is set. His legacy, I think, might be affected by this one, and especially now if he never gets close again. And it is. It's the way this one happened. It's one thing for a guy to beat you. It's another thing for you to do what you just said, and that's bogey 3 of the last 5. And it was, and how he bogeyed them. I mean, come on, those 2 putts.
You could have made those.
Just tough.
You could have made them. You could have made
them. That I know. That's how tragic this whole thing is. I could have.
DeChambeau, $4.3 million. I'm told you win a major, it's worth $10 million at least. I think it could be more for DeChambeau. What does this do for the guy we know for prodigious length? But man, he showed a great deal of all-around game, and in particular, short game.
Look, I think he becomes flavor of the month clearly, and he establishes himself now as a high-profile sports star in America, who will start to have a following and interest beyond, the traditional hardcore golf fans. You mentioned he has a social media presence. The way he played to that crowd crowd during the round. I don't know if you switched over to Golf Channel following the NBC telecast, but they went on and on with him. There was an outstanding interview with him, and then they showed much of him where he actually, he made that comment. He wanted to let as many fans touch the trophy as they could, and he did that. And they said he was there for hours, and it was really interesting stuff. And it was one of those moments that just everything, it takes planetary alignments sometimes, and that was one of them. And he hit some amazing shots. McIlroy folded a bit, as you've said. It was a unique opportunity on a day where there wasn't anything else to capture the imagination of the sports fans, and I think that it did. And so it serves him well. But it also does highlight, too, that split with LIV and how harmful and bad that is for the game of golf and for fans in general. And so hopefully maybe it's an impetus to get that thing solved once and for all.
A lot of mixed results on Brandel Chambly as the lead analyst next to Dan Hicks. You and I have had a debate on what's Dan Hicks' future with NBC because of Mike Tirico and Mike wanting to be involved in golf. And Mike was more involved in this, not just as a host, but as a guy in a tower in this U.S. Open. NBC has never replaced Paul Azinger. I don't know if it was financial reasons or what it was, but they never really replaced him. They have had this rotating group. Smiley Kaufman is in there, who's an interesting guy. But Chambly, to me, has the potential to be like Johnny Miller. He uses history. He uses a lot of analytics, and he's not a guy that is all positive. He's going to tell it like it is, which really bugs the players. They don't like him at all, and I think it bothers some of those that are watching. I've read a lot of mixed reviews on Chambly. I'm not sure why there were so many like play-by-play guys and less analysts in this, which is the way NBC did it, but that's how they did it. What is your take on all of this?
Well, so the interesting thing is this, and it kind of it conjures up the old thought, about backup. When somebody says they have two quarterbacks, it usually means you don't have one, right? In football, NBC's trying to pretend that they have more than one analyst, and it's right now because they don't have one. And they did make the move on Azinger; they did not renew him. I think you're right. Chambly could be the guy, and that would be interesting. And again, anytime you generate a great deal of online response, viewer response, whatever, we've always said you can be loved or you can be hated. You just can't be ignored. So, he can rise to the top through that. And Miller had some of that. Miller wasn't loved by the players, and he rubbed some fans the wrong way, but ultimately he became what many believe to be the best ever. So it's interesting, and the lack, and my understanding was that the lack of one designated analyst gave rise to this idea of having two kind of hosts or play-by-play guys at the same time, and they were playing the even and odd holes and things. It seemed awkward, and it seemed particularly interesting, if not awkward, at the top of the show when they went to the set and put those guys on camera, and there were four guys there. And you're like, my goodness, I mean, how many guys are we going to have on the main set of the golf broadcast? But they did it. Much of that will be overlooked just simply because the golf was so good that no one's going to bog down on anything with the presentation, right?
I think so. I think Chambly is still learning how to be an analyst. I think he's a great studio host. I don't think he's a beloved character. I don't know if he's a real nice guy to like workers at the Golf Channel from what I'm hearing. But I think he's a really talented guy, and I think he's potentially the best analyst since Miller. So here's one of the problems that he has, is he wants to talk like Miller, but he never played like Miller. So, those people can say, well, Miller has the license to do it because he was there. He knew it. And they don't think Chambly did, who only won one tournament in his entire career. I guess we'll have to wait and see on all of that. I want to get to the NBA real quick before we run out of time. There are 21 total possible games with conference finals and the NBA Championship Series. There were all of 14. What kind of a loss of revenue is that for ABC ESPN?
From what I've been able to determine, and I have a fairly good source on this one. 25 to 30 million probably will be the difference by losing the last two games. You know, the everything gets bigger as it goes on, and they lost the last two games of the finals, and there was a 5-game conference finals and a sweep in the finals. So that's even more. Just the loss from the last two games of the NBA Finals is probably in that $20 to $35 million range of advertising.
So
revenue.
let's just
so
say
big hit.
Let's just say it's $50 million. I'm thinking big term here, because the next TV contract is $7 billion a year, $76 billion over the 11-year period of it. Seems to me losing $50 million wouldn't be that much. My last question for you on all of this, real simple: is the NBA worth $7 billion a year with the numbers they get?
Well, and the simplest answer is yes, and the reason why is because there are at least 3 people willing to pay it right now. Actually, there's 4 people that want this, so that's the beauty of it. What's anything worth? Whatever anybody's willing to pay, and in this case, people are willing to pay it.
Wow, that is crazy. And really, this is the last thing. What is the update you're hearing on Bally's and on Cardinal baseball, the Grizzlies? What's going on with Diamond Sports, the people that own Bally Sports? And really, their biggest argument is with the largest cable company in America, that is Comcast, which, by the way, has 400,000 households in the Memphis market.
The latest is there's absolutely no progress toward a settlement, and if anything, Bally's position or Diamond Sports Group position has lessened even some, because they were close to maybe coming out of their bankruptcy. Now they seem to be troubled again. The 3 leagues that are their primary business partners, the NHL, Major League Baseball, and the NBA now, have asked for some additional discovery and want to look at some of their other contracts, because those 3 leagues are now very concerned about Diamond Sports Group and Bally's being able to meet their obligations under the rights fees agreements, given their status of distribution deals, the biggest, as you said, being the Comcast Xfinity deal, which affects us here. As it relates to baseball, no solution in sight. The NBA season will not start without a resolution, and somehow, some way, we'll watch Grizzly games. Right now, it's unknown exactly how.
And you're a betting man. In your gut feel, will Bally's and Comcast come to an agreement, or will Bally's be out of business?
If I had to bet right now, I think Bally's days are numbered now and likely not to be in existence by this fall.
There he is, Joe Dank. Thank you much. We might see you in studio next Tuesday, huh?
Yes, sir.
That'd be terrific. Thank you. Safe travels, and we appreciate your insight.
Thank you, David.
That's our guy on Business and TV. That is Joe Dank, former Channel 24 and Channel 30 general manager. He's brought to you by Memphis Public Golf. We'll be picking our golf picks. It was Mickey who had DeChambeau. He may have made a big move, $4.3 million. Now, I know I made $3 million total. So Mickey and I made moves because I had, of course, Rory and Schauffele. But we'll have to wait and see on all of that tomorrow. I will tell you for sure, you're not going to get a better golf course than Galloway right now. 2 weeks ago, they did the punching of the greens to make them perfect for the rest of the year. They're starting a lot of competitions. I know they have match play competition they're in the middle of right now. They just finished the OP9. Somebody was, and their child was 8 under par. That won it. My son and I, 2 under par. The Butlers were 4 under. We all enjoyed that. If you have not played that golf course, that historic golf course that goes back, first golf course in Memphis that was public. It was built right after they built Memphis Country Club, so we're talking like 1906, 1907, somewhere in there. It's gorgeous. And it's in great shape. So is Pine Hill. And wait till you see the new clubhouse. And then August 1st, that's when Audubon will open it up, and it's going to have a 6-hole short course for the juniors and an 18-hole championship course where they hope to hold NCAA tournaments. That's how good this course is going to be. Over 7,000 yards. Of course, you can move up to 5,000 if that is what your choice is. Memphis Public Golf. They recognize great cities have great golf courses as an amenity. Memphis is at the top of the list in knowing that. We're back in just a second. We'll go to Nashville. The voice of the Titans on the NFL. That's Mike Keith. He is right around the corner.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
Summer's heating up, and so are the savings at Choate's. We've got 3 incredible offers to make your season spectacular. First up, our Grill and Chill with Choate's Summer Special. Upgrade your HVAC system and choose between a free Yeti cooler or a Green Egg grill on select systems. Then power through any outage with Choate's generators. Be one of the first 50 customers to buy a generator and score a massive 75-inch TV or an iPad. Also, don't forget about our tankless water heater offer. Purchase a tankless water heater from Choate's and receive a premium toilet free. Don't wait. These offers are too good to last. Turn to the experts with Choate's and call 347-8086 or visit us online today for your free estimate. Now introducing Choate's air conditioning, heating, plumbing, and generators. Choate's. Let our family serve your family.
It's time to ride during the Gossett Mitsubishi Motors Summer Sales Event. Check out 43 MPG Highway in a new 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage. $17,935 or $249 a month. Need extra room for your vacation? Let Gossett make it happen with 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander. $30,490 or $449 per month. And go for miles and miles with 420 total range in 2024 Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV. $599 a month. Plus peace of mind with Mitsubishi's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Gossett Mitsubishi, 1870 Covington Pike, and 24/7 at MemphisMitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it and Gossett Motor Cars.
Military rebate, 500 royalty rebate. Mirage Outlander 84 months. Mirage RHO 10934. MSRP 18435. Outlander RZO 55981. MSRP 31490. PHEV RZO 35245. MSRP 48065. Includes 1095 acquisition fee. Sale price includes all rebates and incentives. Excludes processing fee of $695. Lease terms includes processing fee of $695. 15 cents per mile excess wear and tear. With approved credit, see dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month. Dealer stock only.
Everyone loves home improvement. South Haven Supply and Warehouse 51 makes it easy. A real hardware store run by 3 generations of a real hardware family where you can get it all. Whether it's repairs, remodeling, or new building, kitchens, bathrooms, tiles, tubs, vanities, sinks, mirrors, lighting, furniture, even door hardware. All the latest designs as well as timeless classics. And if outdoor fun is on your mind, they have the big green egg and accessories. South Haven Supply at Warehouse 51, 8560 Highway 51. Easy home improvement.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Granger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call, hit Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Back to Wolo and friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshyn.
Let's head eastward to Nashville we go. The voice of the Tennessee Titans, Mike Keith, joins us now. Last time we spoke, you were in Jackson, involved in panel discussions on stadium education, and you educated us. That was a lot of fun, but we never got to, you got a new coach. Here comes Brian Callahan replacing Mike Vrabel. They seem to be very different guys, although, both from football families. Brian is the son of Bill Callahan. I remember him well as a head coach. Good morning.
Good morning. And Bill Callahan's here, too, which is very good news. The best offensive line coach in the NFL helping his son. So we're excited to have them both here. ironically, Mike Vrabel tried to hire Brian Callahan at one point. And the team he was with at the time, Cincinnati, would not release him from his contract, which I think was probably pretty smart. But Vrabel was very impressed with Callahan, and he was the it candidate this year in the entire sort of pool as teams made new hires, and it's a very different atmosphere. Not necessarily better or worse, but certainly different because of their personalities. He's much more California, much more low key, and obviously too, Dave, much more offense.
I'm thinking to myself, there is another father-son combination that was around this state. Wasn't Lane Kiffin's father at least a consultant?
No,
on his staff.
He was defensive coordinator.
Oh, he was DC. Yeah.
Yeah, he was the defensive coordinator in 2009 at Tennessee for that 1 year. Yep.
So we've seen this. I love it. I really do. When dads and sons get to confer and to work together like that. So more California. Don't tell me that's laid back. You say more offense. Give me 2 or 3 different things from Vrabel, who we know is really a good coach, from really Vrabel to Callahan. What's different for you even?
Okay, so I think obviously personality is different. When Vrabel walks down the hall, it's like a tornado coming. And that's Mike. And that's the joy of Mike, the beauty of Mike. Mike's big, figuratively and literally. Brian is much quieter. Same sense of humor, ironically. They're both kind of sarcastic and witty guys, fun to talk to, but just different sorts of personalities. On the practice field, Vrabel is everywhere. And you've already seen it in Cleveland where he's working as a consultant. He likes to jump in with the quarterbacks and the running backs and the defensive backs and the pass rushers. Brian is with the quarterback and the offense. And he's hired Denard Wilson to coach the defense. It's a similar situation to many in college that you find today. When you hire the offensive head coaches, they hire those DCs and let them go do their thing.
Right.
And so, the two things, the personality part of it, the bigness of it, and the hands-on in every part of it are 2 different things. Now, you said an important thing. Mike Vrabel is really a good football coach, and he can coach different positions because he knows the techniques and the fundamentals. He will be a head coach again in the league. This, in large part, this move was about a change in philosophy. And obviously, Mike was more of a defensive guy from his background, and Brian is more of an offensive guy from his background, but also more of a synergy between the general manager, the head coach, the president of football operations, and everybody in sort of football management. Vrabel, when John Robinson left, Vrabel took on a much bigger role because he was a 6th-year head coach. Well, this is a first-year head coach with a second-year GM, with a first-year president of football operations, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. This is almost like what we're seeing in baseball in a lot of places, where it's not just the GM and the manager, it's so many different people, the analytics person and all of these people factoring in. That's what Amy Adams Strunk wanted, and that's what she has right now in this alignment, which is something that we've seen work well for the Detroit Lions, by the way.
Are you, by the way, the longest tenured Tennessee Titan?
The media relations director, Robbie Boren, precedes me, and Tina Tuggle, Memphis, Tennessee native, precedes me as well. They're the only 2.
Wow. That's cool.
Yes.
There's a neat synergy to that as well. Brian Callahan, I don't know. I don't think he was the position coach, but he sure helped Joe Burrow as the OC at Cincinnati. What does that do for a young quarterback at Tennessee?
Will Levis is loving it because he's getting more attention than he ever thought possible. And he went through this sort of thing in his junior year at Kentucky when Liam Cohen was the offensive coordinator, and he's now the offensive coordinator back in the NFL in Tampa after having left Kentucky to go to the Rams and then coming back to Kentucky last year. So this is something he has seen before and likes. So Bohart agreed. Jackson, Tennessee native who played at Tennessee is the quarterback's coach coming back from the Raiders. And then Nick Holtz is the offensive coordinator coming over from Jacksonville, where he had worked with Trevor Lawrence. And then you have Brian Callahan, who is a quarterback coach by trade. So you've got all of these people really pouring into him in the same way he was coached his junior year at Kentucky, where he had such success. So in all of these meetings, the head coach is in most of them, along with the offensive coordinator and the quarterback coach. Everything they do, there is all of this teaching, and Will Levis loves this. I mean, you know, he has a degree from Penn State and a degree from Kentucky. He was a great student. He's really, really smart. And so all of this type of stuff is exactly what he wants. Some people say, well, he's drinking out of a fire hose. That's what he wants to do, Dave. He wants to get as much as he can, as he likes to study the Peyton Mannings and the Tom Bradys and the guys of that ilk. This is what they got. As a matter of fact, Brian Callahan was with Peyton Manning in Denver when he started his pro career. That's how he learned this sort of triangle of knowledge, if you will, for the quarterback, and that's what he's continuing here for Will.
I can't wait to watch how the partnership unfolds. It's going to be fun to observe. All right, last thing. I know you didn't get a chance to try Pollard barbecue. I can tell you one thing. In Tony Pollard, you are getting one heck of an offensive threat. He can catch the ball. He can run the ball. He's smart. He picks up stuff. He did as a Tiger, and, you know, he was pretty successful in Dallas. Talk a little bit about how you got him and what you think is going to happen.
I love Tony Pollard. I loved him at Memphis. I loved him coming out. I wanted him here originally. I was disappointed when we didn't draft him. He's the future of what this league is. And we're seeing it in his career and through the development. He is not only a three-down back, he's a multi-position back. And you put him with the young man we drafted out of Tulane last year, Tajay Spears.
Yeah. Well, I watched
and
him
I know
a
you're
bunch.
familiar with him too.
Yeah.
I mean, what you're, and we love Tajay. Tajay had a heck of a rookie year for us last year. You're going to see these guys on the field at the same time, not in an I backfield, but maybe in split backs. You know, certainly both of them can catch. Tony's bigger. I think Tony's faster, probably straight line. Tajay has moves, that just won't quit. But I think the weaponry that we have there to go with this offense, it's going to be more of a three-wide offense than a two-tight end offense. He is the perfect fit. And when I knew Derrick Henry was leaving and we knew we were making this shift in terms of what our style of offense is, Tony Pollard was my number one guy. Not because I'm any expert, but just because I think what you want to do in the NFL in terms of being able to be less scheme predictable, less personnel predictable, and then able to hit people in different ways and able to help a young quarterback, this is perfect.
You're going to love him. I promise. You will.
Already do.
Love him. We will talk next week, a little schedule, and maybe some NFL stuff as well. Mike, thank you again for being part of the program.
Thanks, Dave. Look forward to it.
All right, that's Mike Keith, the voice of the Titans. He's brought to you in part by Ken Garland, third generation. Ken Garland 1, Ken Garland 2, now the proud dad of William, who's the third generation in a business. When you have three generations, you do quality, you do consistency, you care about your clients, you take care of your clients, and that's what the philosophy for them is. The job's never done. You're going to work with your architects. You always get what you expect, on time, quality, on budget. And like I say, if after the house is built 6 months later, something's not quite right, the job's not done. William, Ken, they'll be there to make sure it all works out for you. Give them a call, 751-1632. Just talk to them. Go to kengarland.com first. See all the work that they've done, including renovation with innovation, all the new amenities in an older home if you want to stay there. Or if you're building from scratch, you got land you're not sure how to utilize, they got it all. They know it all. They're really fun to talk to. 751-1632. Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. Johnny Radio is right around the corner. We'll say so long and have a great day, everybody.